Greetings. This will be the first video of hopefully a series in which I will be reading excerpts from the Poetic Edda, the Prose Edda, and hopefully various other Norse heathenry, Asatru, Venatru related texts. Today we are reading the Cirrus's Prophecy, sometimes called the Voluspa. The book we're bringing it from is Caroline Larrington's translation of the Poetic Edda. The Cirrus's Prophecy is usually dated to the late 10th century, when the pagan religion was beginning to be superseded by Christianity. One scholar has suggested that the poem is a kind of sacred text of the Scandinavian religion, composed just before the beliefs were to be eradicated by Christianity. The poem exists in two rather different versions, that of the Codex Regius manuscript, given here, and one in the early 14th century Haxbach, given in the appendix. Many of the verses are also to be found in Snorri's Edda. Hearing I ask from all the tribes, greater and lesser, the offspring of Heimdall. Father of the slain, you wished me well to declare, living beings, ancient stories, those I remember from farthest back. I remember giants born early in time, those nurtured me long ago. I remember 9 worlds, I remember 9 giant women, the mighty measuring tree below the earth. Early in time Ymir made his settlement. There was no sand, nor sea, nor cool waves. Earth was nowhere near the sky above. A void of yawning chaos, grass was there nowhere. Before the sons of Bur brought up the land surface, those who shaped glorious Midgard, the sun shone from the south on the stone hall, and then the ground was grown over with the green leek. From the south, sun, companion of the moon, threw her right hand round the sky's edge. Sun did not know where she had her hall. The stars did not know where they had their stations. The moon did not know what might he had. Then all the powers went to the thrones of fate, the sacrosanct gods, and considered this. Then to night and her children they gave names. Morning they named, and midday, afternoon and evening to reckon up in years. The Aesir met on Idavol plain. High they built altars and temples. They set up their forges, smithed precious things, shaped tongs, and made wood tools. They played checkers in the meadow. They were merry. They did not lack for gold at all, until 3 ogre girls came, all-powerful women out of giant land. Then all the powers went to the thrones of fate, the sacrosanct gods, and considered this. Who should create the land of the dwarves, out of Rimir's blood and from Blaine's limbs? There Motsagnur became most famous of all dwarves, and Durin next. Many men-like figures the dwarfs made, out of the earth, as Durin recounted. New moon and dark of moon, north and south, east and west, master thief, Dalvin, Bivor, Bavor, Bumber, and Nori, On and Anar, great-grandfather and mead-wolf, Licker and staff-elf, wind-elf and Thrain, Known and Thorin, Thror, color and wise, Corpse and new advice, now I have rightly, Regin and counsel clever, reckoned up the dwarves. Fili and Kili, Foundling and Nolly, Haft and Vili, Hanar and Sivir, Freyr and Hornborer, Freg and Seapool, Loamfield, Eari, Oakenshield. Time it is to tally up the dwarves in Valin's troop, for the children of men to trace them back to Lofar. Those who sought out Frar's Hallstone, the dwelling of Loamfield on Irovelir, the Dropnir and Dogdrasir, grey hair, Mound River, Lee Plain, Glow, Skirvir, Virvir, Skavild, and great-grandfather, Elf and Yngvi, Oakenshield, Fialar and Frosty, Finn and Gunnar. They'll be remembered while the world endures. The long list of ancestors going back to Lofar, until three gods, strong and loving, came from out of that company. They found on land capable of little, Ash and Embla lacking in fate. Breath they had not, spirit they had not, blood, nor hearing, nor fresh complexions. Breath gave Odin, spirit gave Heinir, blood gave Loder, and fresh complexions. An ash I know that stands, Yggdrasil it's called, a tall tree drenched with shining loam. From there came the dews which fall in the valley. Green it stands always over Erd's well. From there came girls knowing a great deal, 3 from the lake standing under the tree. Erd one is called, Verdandi another. They carved on a wooden ship, Skald the third. They laid down laws, they chose lives, for the sons of men, the fates of men. She remembers the first war in the world, when they stuck Golvig with spears, and in the High One's hall they burned her. 3 times they burned her, 3 times she was reborn, over and over, yet she lived still. Bright One they called her, wherever she came to houses. The seer with pleasing prophecies, she practiced spirit magic. She knew Sade. Sade she performed as she liked. She was always a wicked woman's favorite. Then all the powers went to the thrones of fate, the sacrosanct gods, and considered this, whether the Asir should yield the tribute, or whether all the gods should share sacrificial feasts. Odin hurled a spear, sped it into the host. That was war still, the first in the world. The wooden rampart of the Asir's stronghold was wrecked. The Vanir, with a war spell, kept on trampling the plain. Then all the powers went to the thrones of fate, the sacrosanct gods, and considered this. Which people had troubled the air with treachery, or given Od's girl to the giant race? Thor alone struck a blow there, swollen with rage. He seldom sits still when he hears such a thing. The oaths broke apart, words and promises, all the solemn pledges which had passed between them. She knows that Heimdall's hearing is hidden under the bright-grown sacred tree. She sees flowing down the loam-filled flood from Father of the Slain's pledge. Do you want to know more, and what? Alone she sat outside when the old man came, the terrible one of the Asir, and he looked in her eyes. Why do you question me? Why do you test me? I know all about it, Odin, where you hid your eye in Mimir's famous well. Mimir drinks mead every morning from Father of the Slain's pledge. Do you want to know more, and what? Father of Hosts chose her for her rings and necklaces. Treasure, wise speech, and spirits of divination. She saw widely about every world. She saw Valkyries coming from far and wide, ready to ride to the god's realm. Skald shouldered one shield, Skolgol was another. Gunhild, Gondul, and Geirskogul saw the general's ladies are counted up. Valkyries ready to ride over the earth. I saw for Balder, for the bloody god, Odin's child, his fate in store. There stood Groan higher than the plain, slender and very fair, the mistletoe. From that stem, which seemed so slender, there came a grievous grief dart. Hod started to shoot. Balder's brother was born quickly. Odin's son started killing at 1 night old. He never washed his hands nor combed his hair until he brought Balder's adversary to the funeral pyre. And in Finn Hall's Frigg wept for Valhall's woe. Do you want to know more, and what? A captive she saw lying under Cauldron Grove. an evil-loving figure, unmistakable as Loki. There sits Sigrun, getting very little joy from her husband. Do you want to know more, and what? From the east there flows through poison valleys a river with knives and swords, fearful it is called. To the north there stood on dark of moon plains a hall of gold of Sindri's lineage, and another stood on Never Cold, the beer hall of a giant called Brimir. A hall she saw standing far from the sun. On Corpse Strand its doors look north. Poison drops fall in from the roof vents. The hall is woven of serpent spines. There she saw wading in turpid streams, false earth swearers and murderers, and the seducer of another man's close confidante. There Nidhogg sucks the corpses of the dead, a wolf tears at men. Do you want to know more, and what? In the east sat the old woman in Ironwood, and gave birth there to Fenrir's offspring. One of them in trollish shape shall be the snatcher of the moon. It gluts itself on doomed men's lives, reddens the gods' dwellings with crimson blood. Sunshine becomes black all the next summer, weather all vicious. Do you want to know more, and what? He sat on the mound and struck his harp. The giantess's herdman, cheerful Egther. Near him crowned, in gallows wood, that bright red rooster who is called Fjalar. Golden Comb crowed near the Asir. He wakens the warriors at Father of Hosts Hall. And another crows below the earth, a sooty red cock in the halls of hell. Garm bays loudly before Nippa cave. The fetter will break and the ravener will run free. Much wisdom she knows, I see farther ahead, to the mighty doom of the gods, of the victory gods. Brother will fight brother and be his slayer. Sisters' sons will violate the kinship bound. Hard it is in the world, whoredom abounds. Axe age, sword age, shields are cleft asunder. Wind age, wolf age, before the world plunges headlong, no man will spare another. The sons of Mim are at play, and the measuring tree is kindled at the resounding Galar horn. Heimdall blows loudly, his horn is in the air. Odin speaks with Mim's head. The ancient tree groans, and the giant gets loose. Yggdrasil shudders, the tree standing upright. Now Garm bays loudly before Nippa cave. The fetter will break, and the ravener run free. Much wisdom she knows, I see farther ahead, to the mighty doom of the gods, of the victory gods. Hiram drives from the east, heaves his shield before him. The giant serpent writhes in giant rage. The serpent churns the waves, the eagle shrieks in anticipation. Pale-beaked he rips the corpse. Nagfar breaks free. A ship journeys from the east. Muspel's troops are coming over the ocean, and Loki steers. All the giant sons advance along with the ravener. Vili's brother goes in company with them. What disturbs the Asir? What disturbs the elves? All giant land is roaring. The Asir are in council. The dwarves groan before their rocky doors. Wise men of the mountain wall, do you want to know more, and what? Surt comes from the south with branches ruin. The slaughter god's son glances from his sword. Rocky cliffs clash together, and the troll women are abroad. Heroes tread the hell road, and the sky splits apart. Then Frigg's second sorrow comes about, when Odin advances to fight against the wolf, and Bailey's bright slayer against Surt. Then Frigg's dear beloved must fall. Then comes Victory Father's strong son, Vidar, to battle the beast of slaughter. With his hand he sends to Loki's son's heart his sword to stab, then his father is avenged. Then comes Slodin's glorious boy. Odin's son advances to fight the serpent. He strikes in wrath Midgard's protector. All men must abandon their homesteads. 9 steps Fjorgen's child takes, exhausted from the serpent which fears no shame. The sun turns black, land sinks into the sea, the bright stars vanish from the sky. Steam rises up in the conflagration, hot flame plays high against heaven itself. Now Garm bays loudly before Nippa cave, the fetter will break and the ravener run free. Much wisdom she knows, I see farther ahead, to the mighty doom of the gods, of the victory gods. She sees, coming up a second time, earth from the ocean eternally green. The waterfalls plunge, an eagle soars above them, from the mountain hunting fish. The Aesir find one another in Idaval, and they converse about the mighty Earth-girdler and Fimbulthir's ancient runes. They will be found again in the grass, the wonderful golden checkers, those which they possessed in the bygone days. Without sowing the fields will grow, all evil will be healed, Balder will come. Hod and Balder will settle down in Hrop's victory homesteads, the slaughter gods are well. Do you want to know more, and what? Then Heinir will choose a wooden slip for prophecy, and two brothers' sons build a settlement in the wide wind realm. Do you want to know more, and what? A hall she sees standing, fairer than the sun, thatched with gold at Gimli. There the noble fighting bands will dwell, and enjoy the days of their lives in pleasure. There comes the shadow dark dragon flying, the gleaming serpent up from dark of moon hills. Nidhogg flies over the plain in his pinions. He carries corpses, now she will sink down. And this was the Sirius's prophecy, also known as the Voluspa. And it is a recounting of both the beginning and end of times. So, until next time.